The single biggest and most important decision you'll ever make as a crypto blockchain Web3 founder is what developer to hire. Period. Okay. I've learned this the hard way. I've been the CTO of two Web3 startups, raised hundreds of thousands in VC funding. I run a dev agency now that, over time has had over 30 different devs. Okay. I've personally interviewed, whether that's with technical tests or on Google Meet or just chatting over message, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Telegram with 2,346 developers. I have to go back in my inbox, see all of the messages, all the calls that were scheduled. I kept track of absolutely everything. That's 2,000 developers I've been in contact with. Okay. Um, and that's why I made this guide. That's why I made this video. That's why I made this document here to show you how to hire developers for your crypto project the right way. So if you're stuck trying to find out how to do this, who to hire, when to hire, what role to hire for, this is absolutely everything I've learned from years of trial and error. Okay, development has been my number one expense for forever, and probably will be in the next few years. Okay, it's literally like I described here, the make or break factor for every project. Okay, so the first thing you need to do before even considering hiring anybody, putting a job post out there, talking or interviewing any developers, is understanding what your goddamn project needs. Okay, get clear on it. Ton of founders waste money and time, which is even more important, hiring the wrong person just because they didn't sit down for an hour to really thinking through, research, investigating, or talking with others in the space, other founders, other CTOs on what they need, what skills they should look for, because not all developers are made the same. You don't want the headaches, so take time to actually do this. First question: what's the tech stack? If you're building a dApp on ETH, Solidity for smart contracts, and you probably use something like React on the front end, or maybe Vue.js, Angular, but probably React. If it's Solana, the smart contracts are going to be on Rust, right? So where are you building your technology, your product, your project, and what's the typical tech stack there? Look at other reference projects and see what they're built on. Ask developers that you're interviewing, what would you build this on? Figure that out first. What kind of developer are you looking for? What the tech stack is. Okay. Then the complexity, because for some projects you might not need a 10-year veteran blockchain developer that might overcomplicate things, right? Maybe you just need somebody that's really good at design, at front end, making a very UX friendly application, right? um, because it's just as bad to go with somebody too experienced as it is to go with somebody under experienced. Okay, they're going to overcomplicate things a ton. They're going to cost you a ton more than a developer at that level. So you need to figure that out as well. What the complexity level is, and what seniority you need of developer. Number three, does their experience match your vision? Just because a developer has years of experience in Web3 does not mean that experience or the projects that they worked on are relevant to you. Okay, what you most have to focus on here, this is probably the most important of the 3 points, is did they work on projects that are very similar to what you're making, or do the skills translate, right? If, for example, you're launching a game, right, a Web3 game, but they've worked on it for years in the Web3 space, but it's all been DeFi, right? They might be really, really good at what they do. They might be a great developer, but does it translate to what you're building? Are they going to have that competitive advantage? Are they going to be able to anticipate issues because they've had it on some of their projects before? Do they have, I don't know, ready built components or worked on some of their projects that they can just copy the code from, right? They'll have more confidence and you'll have more confidence in them to deliver if you know that, okay? Um, a little pro insight here. When you review their previous work, everybody reviews developers' previous work, right? That's the first question you ask. Send me some references of work that you've done in the past. Actually use the products they've built. Ask them a ton of follow-up questions. Like, go through the whole flow of their product that they built before or that they worked on. Ask them exactly what they did. Try to find bugs in it. Try to find the issues with it. Ask them how many users are currently using it, because a lot of people build projects that aren't even being used out there. That's extremely important. Okay, it's the best way to gauge your skills. Okay, secondly, I want to talk about something that is known but it's not known. cheap developers are always the most expensive developers. Let me explain. Okay. A lot of times, especially when you're new to hiring developers, you don't have experience in this, you let price influence your decision by a ton. Okay. You think, okay, this guy is, I don't know, $1,000 cheaper. He seems like he's good as well. Let me just go that route, that option. You want to do the opposite. You want to pay as much as possible without obviously just being excessive, but you want to try to find somebody that's justifiably expensive. Okay, because development is one of those areas where you truly get what you pay for. A good developer is always going to be expensive. There are no good cheap developers out there. Okay, now they could be affordable or well priced or fair. They'll be stacked on projects and they decide to take your project on. Sure, that's normal. But there would never be a extremely cheap developer giving you $10 or $15 an hour. You have to be wary of those situations. It's not going to go well. It really isn't. It really isn't. You're just going to get a lot of headaches. You're going to build the project out 50%. The developer is just going to ditch you, or it's not going to work. There's going to be so many bugs. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to fire that person, and you're starting all the way from scratch all over again. Okay. Um, yeah, exactly. Your timeline drags when you go cheap. Your timeline drags. Bugs slip through. Security vulnerabilities. You can have hacks, lost funds, and just user frustration. You lose all your reputation. Okay. And that's the most important thing. In Web3, trust is everything, so reputation is everything. Real example, client of ours, BAM, this was probably like a year ago or so, a year and a half ago. After 4 months, the dev team that they hired still didn't deliver the finished product. And when they asked us to review it to see what the issue was, if they were close to launching, if there was a lot of bugs, a little bit of bugs, what's wrong with their product, we found a smart contract that basically failed all of our audits and all of our tests. The front end was just super slow under load, and there was no documentation on the project. They immediately got alarmed, told us to come in and fix it, and we did in a few weeks. Okay, we fixed all the other issues after the other devs spent months and months and months on that platform. Okay, they could have avoided the headache and the $20K that they pay the other developers just by going not expensive, but going for the correct developer on the first go. Okay, so how to spot a quality developer? So sure, they have to have a good technical expertise and past experience, but that's not all. That's the bare minimum. Okay, here's what comes next. This is the most important part: communication skills. You might think everybody has communication skills. They don't. Okay, if the developer can't explain what they're doing, their process, how they are envisioning your plan, your roadmap, they don't understand how your product is going to work, or they can't communicate it, they're going to be hard to work with. Skip. Okay. If they're a bad communicator, when the project starts, they won't be giving you updates. They won't keep you on the loops on problems that have occurred. Okay. You want to make sure they completely understand your vision. And then secondly, the time zone and the availability. If your developer's in a different time zone, that can be fine. Okay, but sometimes it creates delays, situations where it takes days to resolve an issue because you're going back and forth. When it's your daytime, it's their nighttime. So trying to keep close to your time zone doesn't have to be the exact same time zone, but nothing like 9 hours or 12 hours after you. Okay. And same thing goes with their availability. If they're working other projects, they have other responsibilities, make sure you clarify what these are and make sure that they don't conflict with your project. You don't want to have an urgent issue and they can't fix it because they're working for somebody else. Okay. So 2 pro insights here. Culture fit for me has mattered more than anything else. If I find somebody that I like to work with and they're nice people, they communicate well, and we just get along with vibe, it goes so much better. It goes a long way. And then another pro insight is contacting their past employers, so where companies they've worked for in the past or projects they've worked for, and ask about their behavior, their skill, their work ethic especially. Okay. Um, so with the developers, no matter who you hire, you want to make sure that you have these things in place, so nothing goes off the rails, the project doesn't go to shit. You want to make clear documentation, make sure that the whole project is explained in documentation so that anybody can take over at any time and that all the expectations are aligned. Realistic milestones. Sure, you want to go as fast as possible, but don't over rush things. Make sure it's realistic. Weekly, bi-weekly calls so that everybody's updated on everything. Test early and often. Don't wait till the end of the project to test everything. During the development, stop every once in a while to test and make sure everything is going right. And then launch day. there's going to be chaos on launch day. There's going to be issues. There's going to be hiccups. There's going to be traffic spikes, unexpected bugs, attacks trying to take down your website. Be ready for this. Be prepared. Okay. Now, pro insight here: do a soft launch, beta launch for the first initial users to get your product out there. They can find any initial bugs, small fixes here and there, just so that you're well prepped for the actual full-on launch. A few platforms to find great developers. Freelance platforms like Upwork, the one that I've had the most success with, mostly with Western and Eastern European developers. TopTal, expensive, but really good people, especially if you have a higher budget. Fiverr, for me, absolutely sucks. But a lot of people do use it, so you can check it out. And always make sure to vet candidates thoroughly. You can find absolutely great guys in here and horrible devs in here. Developer communities, Discord servers, Reddit, Telegram groups are great for Web3 developers. We find a lot of people this way, so definitely recommend trying this out. And then referrals. This is probably the best way to go about it. Is ask other founders, other colleagues for recommendations, who they've worked with, who they enjoy working with. And usually you can find somebody that's really good and available. Okay. And then the last option, which really is the best option, is working with an established studio like ourselves. Okay. This is really for founders who need fast results. They need the best of the best developers. They need very high quality stuff. They have a budget, but they don't want to have a super expensive team, right? So they want, like I said, fast results, best development, and a good pricing, right? Not over the top pricing, but obviously premium pricing, because you're getting people that have worked on 157 projects with millions of users, have millions and millions earned. Our projects have raised a ton of funding. We have already the systems and processes in place. We have already built components that we can reuse for your project that we've worked on different projects for. But just less headaches for you. You're sort of just taking somebody that's already done what you're trying to do and plugging them into your project. So it's a huge advantage. You sort of start 3 steps ahead than anybody else hiring a dev from scratch. And you don't have to go through the pain of recruiting, hiring, setting up tools, training, dealing with all the extra costs, taxes, health insurance, sick leave. It could take an extreme amount. We did a small comparative here for hiring an in-house dev team and just working with our agency. So for 2 months, if you're hiring an in-house dev team, smart contract dev is going to be $10K a month, UX UI $5K a month, front-end developer $6K a month, all of the softwares. All in all, you're going to spend $44K a month if you're working with an in-house team that you pay for their salary, health insurance, benefits, all of that. And these are just average salaries, and average salaries worldwide, not in the US, worldwide. Okay. And you can, as you can see here by the different links. And with us, usually for 4 weeks of work with our team, it's usually $5K, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less. So 2 months could be $10K. Okay. So on average, we're 4 times cheaper than having an in-house team. Okay. Then final thoughts here, just to recap, hiring the right developer is essential. Okay. It's not just, oh, I found a guy, I like him, he's a funny name, a good background, and worked on some projects. It's really focusing on finding somebody that understands your vision, can execute on your vision, and is going to grow with your project. They really believe in what you're building. And they have the technical background expertise to take it to life. Now, take your time to really go through this document, really think through your hiring process, because it's going to affect the whole success of your entire startup. Okay. Now, keep these insights in mind. It's going to make you avoid a lot of mistakes, like I said. And if you're feeling stuck, you can click this link to drop me a line on Telegram, or you can just book directly a call with me if you think that we could potentially work together, and we can discuss. We can discuss if it's going to be a good fit, or worst case scenario, I'll give you some advice on how you should go about hiring the right developer.